supports the files. So these are the things it supports. If it is a PDF, Word document, Excel, you need to download them, which it will automatically do it for you whenever you want to see them. However, if we want to in future also support this particular ability to see the documents of like a PDF or DocX, Excel and all those things, even a PowerPoint, we can add plugins to this DMS system. It is a web-based plugins, universal plugins that are available for a cost. We can install on the server, and that should allow us to see the documents within the browser without any installation on the client machines. So, I can just maybe click on this DMS viewer. So it quickly brings it up within just as a separate window and shows us the file. Similarly, it will do the same thing for a GIF or TIFF files. Most of the time when you scan, the files that you convert are going to be TIFF files. So seeing all of them here within the DMS without any installation is quite possible. And then we have other folders here, directories, inbox, initiated, participated, closed, and all those things. Basically, as I mentioned earlier, we do have an email component and also a workflow. So whenever we start a workflow and is assigned to one user and that user logs in, it always shows up in the inbox as an activity that that particular user needs to attend. Similarly, if I initiated certain workflows, it will show up here. There is always initiated for a workflow. Whether it be I think in a clinical research, whenever we have a subject that come in, we can initiate a workflow there. And then the investigator and those guys participate in that particular investigation and then keep updating it. So initiator will initiate, push it into the next level, which could be another user, and that user will get it in his inbox and then take up the workflow. Similarly, what are all the things I participated, what are all the things I closed as a workflows, so all those things will come up here. For example, this one, this is a document that I closed recently, just as a testing purpose. So then I have, if I have deleted something, I have suspended some workflow, all those things will show up here. Everything, all this we call it as dashboard. And then on the left side, we have, in a typical environment, we have all these files stored in cabinets, physically. So we still use the same terminology as the cabinets and folders within those cabinets. So like accounting, so let's say that is an office, and accounting, audit, finance, forms, all these are cabinets within an office. And within those cabinets, now we have different folders. And within the folder, we can have multiple files, or we can even call these as cabinets again, mills. And within mills, we can have multiple files. So on and so forth. So the hierarchy, what you are mentioning here, there is no limit again. I can create as many subfolders I want and all that. And permissions also, it works the same way. So I just can right click here and I can add folder if I want to, like like test folder. And within test folder, I can give permissions. I can create a URL, which means every time I want to go to that folder, I use that URL. I can rename, I can delete, I can cancel all these things. So, Ravi and Nanji, if I'm going too fast, just stop me at any given point. And if you want to see something else, also let me know. Great. All right, so we now, so that's what we have on the left side. All these folders, permissions, we'll go in detail on each one of them. So these are various menus we have. So administration, we have a field management. Then field management is nothing but creating indexes. how you want to search on a folder, how you want to search within that. So for example, if I go to field management here, I can create a field. Let's see what.
One suggestion.
Yes.
Because Ravi is recording in. Okay. Will it be good idea to at least give it in a flow? Let us see the moment we scan. Okay. Where those documents are coming and how we do the detecting. So that it will be. So tomorrow if he wants to play it again, for him it will be clear that flow wise. Let us see anything. We are doing a scanning first. Once the scanning is done, where the files will come and what we do on the particular scanned site, and then probably you can just cover in that flow. So that will be helpful for him if tomorrow if you want to do a rerun once again.
That's a great idea. What I can otherwise what I can do is we can finish this demo and then I can do a screen recording and send it back to you.
No, actually, whatever you are talking now, and in TeamViewer, he is recording that entire conversation.
Okay.
So probably
Right.
it might. That's what I just. Okay, anyway, I think you can continue.
Okay. So, but the flow would be the same way. Then we can always work with the document once we are done with what I'm explaining.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So basically what we are seeing here is the field management, which is used at the later point for searching across the documents and folders. So if we look at doc type, for example, doc type is the field name. However, in a display name, I'm getting it as document type. This is what a user would see. However, in a database, we store it as doc type. And it can be the parameter types. I will just show you what are all various parameter types we have. Data type for this particular thing is varchar. And then we are defining a size, maximum size that a user can enter when you import a document or scan a document. Then we have whether this field is required or not required. And I can enable, disable anytime. And if a particular index value is unique or not. For example, I'm importing these, again, if we go to like the clinical side of things, if I'm creating a subject ID, that subject ID is pretty much unique. I don't want to repeat that unique, that subject ID on some other file. So I'm restricting it by saying it is unique. Right? So then this particular field, what I just created, can be assigned to one or more folders. So I can just assign to one or more folders and say assign. I can also say percolate, which means if I do select just UPEO, for example, and then click on percolate, the same permission, the same parameters what I'm saying will be applied to rental agreement, all these documents, all these folders, subfolders. So that is the idea of percolate. And this is where we are seeing like a /UPEO rental agreement, and the parameter name that I'm using is the project name, and whether a particular field is active or not. So these are all various parameters that I've been working with just for testing purpose. So you will see it being dirty and all that, but ignore most of these. And then the other, so let's go ahead and try to create a new field where I can just say test or let me see what are available here. Yeah, Ravi, we can increase the, if you say data size, the 25 characters can be extended. So because we are using the database as SQL Server, whatever the limit that SQL Server supports, we can do the same data size. Great. So now, since I'm here and I don't see any of these field names, I'm just giving subject ID. parameter types. So these are various parameter types. We have text box, combo box, checkbox, list box, multi-line text box. So these are pretty self-explanatory. So I'm staying with text box. Then basically I'm just trying to enter the value. Let's say if I go with combo box or a list box, the ability that combo box and list box has is I can connect to another master table in some other database. For example, Ravi, if you have S-Clinical, you have master data there, and for some reason you want to integrate with the DMS. Instead of you trying to enter all these all the like oncology or some areas that you are specialized in, you have those master tables. With a combo box, you can basically attach that to another master table in a different database by making it dynamic. So this is a values that we put it in the config files and attach to that master data always. So you don't need to type in any data, whereas a user, when he gets in and tries to import a document, all that he has to do is select that value. Or you can also type in those values by adding values as you go on. You can always come back, you can edit, like if you are working only with few states currently, you can continue to come back and keep adding states to that when you have that combo or list box values. So here I can even say 100 characters to answer your previous question. And then I can say it is a static ref, yeah. So, and then I can say required, I can say activate, and then let's see if I can assign it to a particular folder. I think I was working with the IT folder, which I will do this, percolate, assign. So we have these fields now in our database. So we have the parameter field added. So now if I go to user management, you can simply create users just like how you would do in other areas. If we have an existing user base, we can work on importing that user into our system. So here, other than entering these normal values, what is more specific is volume path. What is volume path? For example, in a particular organization, you have multiple departments like finance, then you have IT, then you have accounts, HR, so on and so forth. Each of them can actually have their own volumes, which means the hard disk space or an FTP size, anything. And you basically assign users to only those volumes, so that way they will never ever get into any other volumes. For security reasons, we can do that way. And then we have workflow, whether this user can be part of workflow, can he participate? And can he add comments like annotations? Can he create cabinet, which is a folder which I have shown you earlier? We can also create groups, make users part of those groups. Right? So then you have these roles where can the user scan, can he do a quality check, can he index? So those are the simple roles that is available on a global level. But when we go at a folder level, now I can also say, which I'll show you. So if I go to IP and then I right click on the any folder that I want. So now I can basically see the permissions that are here. So whether the user can be a co-owner along with whoever has created that. Can he do a read write? Can he do just read write delete, and no permissions at all? So no permissions, basically I'm not even adding them here. So that is how you just basically create permissions. And if you don't want to right click on a particular folder, you can also go directly into this particular IT folder and you can set permissions again. You don't need to always come from this location by right clicking on each folder and doing the permission. So that's how the permissions and the user management work. Bulk user upload is basically, as I mentioned earlier, you can create a spreadsheet, you can import it into our system. If somebody don't want to go user by user and try to create it, we are talking about a larger organizations when we try to take this product and implement it. Audit trails is where what we don't have, Ravi, is at the level what you are doing in S-Clinical. Because in S-Clinical, I believe any change that you do, even within a particular text, like even a word change or text changes, you try to have that level of audits, which we don't have here. All that what it does is, if we try to import a document, who did what at what time at a file level, not at a content level. Am I right, Ravi? What you are doing at S-Clinical, that the logging is at content level, right? Okay. So that is the level what we do here. The reason if a PDF is scanned, is downloaded, now we store it as files. We don't store the content within the tables. So that was the reason it is harder for us to do a logging at a file, the content level. We can only do it at a file level. Anji, did I make that clear on the audit level?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So then what we also have is creating forms. So we have that creation of form ability. However, it's not at the level of what can be done at S-Clinical. So we can create simple forms. We can make them part of workflows. So you have all these controls, whatever you need to do, like a checkboxes, radio buttons, text fields, and then you can make them part of your workflow. So that is the main purpose. For example, if somebody want to apply for a leave, you can create a leave application form and give permissions to the users. And what a user can do is, like a user, an employee can go there and fill up that form and initiate a workflow. And what workflow says is that this particular leave application has to go to the team lead or the manager of that employee, which will come in the inbox, which I showed you in the dashboard. And the manager can either deny it or can ask the employee a question, which means he can return it. And if the manager approves the leave, it will go to the HR. So this all can be defined in a workflow. So that is where we can mainly use these forms. And obviously, if you are good with HTML, there is no limit on this one. You can create very nice forms and all that. But Ravi, I appreciate what you have in S-Clinical. I have noticed all that clinical CRFs that you guys can generate, and that is quite robust. So then we are coming to the create workflows, where I'll again I can quickly walk you through these workflows, but I'll explain and then I'll walk you through the creation of the workflow. So if you are looking here on the workflow master, I'm not sure if I got it, Ravi. You are saying we want to differentiate with the Oracle Clinical and Medidata Rave. So I'm not quite familiar with these things. I'm not going to compare DMS with S-Clinical when we do official demos. This is for us to relate things. Is that your concern? Ravi, we'll hold this question. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I know you want it to be unique, so that's great. That is what the CR. I think you were injured standing out, and beating the competition with Oracle Clinical and Medidata Rev. That's great. Okay, so now coming to this workflow master, we can create any workflow name that is meaningful for our user base. Then we can base that workflow either on a document or a form. For example, if I'm having a policy document drafted, I can just create a workflow as a document. It can be any document, it doesn't matter. But I'm just referring to policy document. That policy document somebody had drafted and it has to go through the process. I agree, and it is more file management. So that's why we state content with our features that we are offering. And so the document, when it is a policy document, what we can do is make it flow through various levels of the organization for the final approval of the policy before that policy is implemented. So that's where we create a document. Forms I already explained you. You can even relate to other areas. Coming to the workflow types, you have a flexi, fixed, and mixed. So let's just quickly look at fixed. Fixed workflow is nothing but, let me show you this. So this is a fixed workflow that I created yesterday as I put the date 01/26. And if you are looking at this is a flexi, sorry. So we can even look at this flexi. Total number of levels. This levels is not limited. You can have as many levels as you want. Then for each level, what we call is a workflow node records. At a level 1, obviously there is only one thing that anybody can do is forward particular file that they imported. Other than that, they will not be able to do anything. If you notice, the user is blank here. The reason, since it's a flexi workflow, any user that has a permission on working with workflows can import, can initiate any document. So this is quite flexible in a way that you are not restricting only these users to do only this. You are saying user at level 1 can forward a document to any user that has workflow permissions to do a review, or they can also return that policy document. So this is where you have a wider audience. The workflow is not going in only from user 1 to user 2. Workflow can go from user 1 to user A through Z. There is no limit to this. So whoever is initiating can control this in a flexi. So even in level 2, we don't have any users. Basically, all that we are saying is the user that is initiating can forward to any user in level 2. There will be a reminder that will be given to these users on a daily basis. If you want the reminder to be in 2 days, you can do that. If you want it in 3 days, you can do that. Then you have escalation mechanism. If a user is not attending to a particular folder, particular file, or particular task that is sitting in their dashboard for more than 2 or 3 days, then you can escalate. This mostly applies in the fixed workflow. Then you can define the user who should get the escalation email or notification. Then the final user basically has to approve. They can also reject the file. What happens when somebody approves? The file will go back to the initiator. In case of flexi workflow, the file, once he approves, he can, the user, the level 3 user can send it out to any user for closing it. Which means they are saying we are done with this policy document, let's put it into practice. So let me create a workflow for us now. So I'm going to say fixed workflow. Then I'm going to say 0127, which I'm just giving today's date. I'm going to say fixed workflow. just to keep simple, I'm going to again create 3 levels. And I want to assign to a particular folder. So I'm going to put it in like IT folder and then say go. So as soon as I did this, the fixed workflow 0127 master record is created. Now I have to work with each level. So in case of level 1, now I can select users. Unlike in Flexi, I was not able to select the users. So I have all these users. So I'm going to select, for example, admin himself as an initiator. I can even select multiple users. There is no issue with that. So select a user and I can choose the reminder period. I can choose in days or hours. How many users required? This as of now is not completely functional, but the main reason why we created this is, for example, if you have a board meeting and secretary sends minutes and all that, and our bylaws, what it says is the quorum. If there is a board of 5 people, if 3 says we approve or 3 responds to it, then it should go to the next level. So that is the purpose of this one. So then we have escalation users. I can create another user as an escalation user, and then basically just create that level. So now I have one level created, which is showing here that level 1. See, in case of Flexi, I did not have any user. Now I have a user because that's the one that's supposed to initiate this on that IT folder. Any escalation, we didn't choose any escalation. So now I'm going to the level 2. In level 2, I'm just taking user ADM ID. Now if you see, there are various actions that are available now, other than just forward. So user ADM ID can forward, can return. These are the only permissions that I'm choosing for this user ADM ID. So now I'm creating another level. So level order 2 added successfully. Do we have it? Yes, we have it. Then finally, I'm going to say user HCMD. He can approve, he can reject, and then create the level. So we have these 3 levels that are done. So let me go to home and create a job for us. So if I'm on the IT folder, let's see what I have in my head office. Okay. So in the head office, let me quickly check on my desktop if I can work with any workflow for you guys. Okay. Can you guys still hear me? Anji, can you hear me? Anji, can you hear me? Great. Okay. So I have a document that is basically on my desktop. I'm going to import that document. I'm going to choose the file. Anji, are you still there? Anji? Ravi, we might have lost Anji, but we'll continue on this one. No issues. I can again talk to him at a later point. So now I have uploaded a file, basically DSL illustration. I can also update the index parameter. See, like I was showing you a document type. So this is the document type that where I can enter the values. Since I made that particular parameter in this particular field management area to be mandatory, we are getting that red asterisk. So then I can say upload all. This is just little big document, about 17 pages document. So we can typically initiate a workflow right from that particular presentation or
No, no, this one somehow I'm able to see that I'm able to see LinkedIn what you're saying. I'm not able to see this.
I think Ravi was not having issues in that regard. Ravi, you are able to hear me now?
I think he's able to hear you.
Okay. Ravi, are all the screens coming to you okay, or you are having issues like what Anji is having? Great. Anji, Anji, if you are having issues, what we'll do is at a later point, we can get on his icon.
Yeah. Paras, I
Yeah.
think it is. First let Ravi.
Right, because you know most of it anyway, we will again catch up.
Sure.
Right. Ravi, Anji, do you want to mute your microphone? I think it's resounding. Okay. Right. So basically, I'm here in the upload files. What I was explaining before is that you have ability to choose a file. You can initiate a workflow right from here. You can also update index value, and which we have already done that on the particular folder IT and head office. So let's see if the file is already there. So this is the file which we uploaded. And now it is time for us to look at all these columns. So that's why I was trying to quickly give you a top level overview, and now I can explain each of these things. So if you look here at each of the file type, we automatically update the file, the icon based on the file types. Whether it's a PDF or whether it is if it's Excel, you will get that. If it's a HTML or a GIF or JPEG, we pretty much are giving a common icon for that. So here is the file that we just try to work with. And then there is a version history now, which I wanted to highlight. Let me check if any of these have multiple versions. So that way it's easier for me to show you. Yes. So this particular the textile corporation IMO standard procedure for 0410 PDF. One second, Anji was not able to hear me. He's having issues with his internet. Right. Oh, looks like okay. Good, Anji. So these are documents that I have worked through at some other workflow, basically just as a testing purpose. This in fact is a case study that I have done for one of the organizations that I'm trying to work with. So as part of that process, this particular document has been uploaded twice. So let's look at the version history. So as you see, there are two versions to this. The first version was done on 17th February last year, and that is what we automatically name as version 1. So it is checked in by which user DMIT. Like I was explaining, it is pertain to the file level. So now at the later point, as I was trying to flow this particular file through the workflow, there were some changes that were recommended by the managers. So I have to go back, make the changes to the file, re-upload it, which means I have checked out, I have checked in. And what is the reason that I have to check out and check in is this one. One of the executive directors for the IT department advised to change the font to Arial 10, as it is the company policy. So that was done and it is uploaded. So that's why I have two versions, but I always work with this version. So I can work, but I can open both the files at any given point. So limit to the number of versions, there is absolutely no limit. So you can have as many versions you want, but you always will work with the latest version. Then you have a checkout component to it. Like if I want to basically make changes to this document, I have to check it out. Just like any other source safe, it's the same concept that goes in hand. You check out, you check in, then the version that gets updated. So these are the three simple steps that happen with this file management. Then I can bookmark any of these files so that they appear in the dashboard like I showed you earlier. And then we have the index parameters. Whatever I have, the more indexes that I want to create, I can always update those indexes. See, for example, this document type, I have created the index value of IMO standards for this document. But this is the document we just uploaded. So let's look at the index values for that. We created DSC. I can change it if I want. So now the other screen blackout. Anji, are you able to see the screen, or is it just Ravi that's not able to see the screen? Ravi, I think our connection is okay since you seem to be able to hear me. Can you just reconnect once? So going back, so these are other, we covered up to index parameters. Are you with me till the index parameters, Ravi? Not sure why you are not able to see anything. I'm not sure if it's a TeamViewer problem or where we are disconnected. So, Ravi, do you have any WebEx account or anything like that which we can use? Okay. Ravi, let's get on to Skype then. You can record the screens even on Skype, correct? Okay, perfect. So I don't think it will be an issue even if we use Skype. Teacher. So Ravi, if you can send me an invite for the Skype, let's connect there. And then we can also pull in Anji into this one. Teacher. Hello? Hello? Anji? Anji. Anji, in-person. Let TeamViewer only. Now I'm disconnecting. We will get on to Skype. Okay, Ravi has my Skype ID now. So let's conference in. Right. No, I'll connect you and Ravi to this one. And then I'll do a screen share. One second. I think I'll come out of TeamViewer and then I'll wait for Ravi to connect with me on the Skype. Hi Ravi.
Hi Ratna Garu.
Hello India, how are you?
Yeah, good.
So finally good to hear your voice. Let me add Anji.
Yeah, okay.
let's also get on to, I'll start doing a screen share. Are you able to see my screen?
Not yet. Yeah.
Anji, are you on? Anji is not connected, but if you are able to see the screen, I'll proceed on to.
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Okay, great. So let's basically, are you with me on still this index parameters area?
Yeah.
Okay. So now the next we'll come to the workflow in a second. Related links. So related links is if you have one particular file in one folder and then two other files in some other folder. For example, take an employee record. That employee related information could be many things. Could go on to many files and all that. But just by pulling up one employee file, you will be able to pull up even other files by using this related link. So let me see if that particular related link is on any of these things. Okay. So the reason why this particular file, which is the shen.pdf, there is a related link for this. Since I was working through a workflow and then I created an addendum to that particular file which I was working on a workflow. That's why you are seeing this as a related link. And what is it related to? It is related to this file. The shen.pdf is related to 410.pdf. And similarly, I can even pull up any other file. I can keep adding them to this related links area. Okay. So now let's jump, before we jump on to the actual workflow demo, I'll just show you how the logging and everything happens.
Okay.
So let me just, this is the workflow that I have worked through and I can show you this one. So once the entire workflow is done, what happens is there is a file that automatically gets created like this.
Okay.
Okay, so that file is going to be there forever in that particular for that workflow. So now if you start off at on February 18th at about 9:32 a.m., user AREMIT, who was the initiator of the workflow, has initiated and forwarded it to user TMIT and user DMIT. Basically, he has requested that please review the standards and forward it if satisfied. Otherwise, please let me know your comments.
Okay.
Right? And then what user CMIT? So either user CMIT can do this or user DMIT can do it. It's not, there is no restriction at this point that both of them have to do it. So user CMIT within like another 6 minutes or so at 9:38 has forwarded it without any issues to user EDP. User EDP basically and what user CMIT has said, great work, forwarding as presented. And when did that happen? It happened at 9:48 in the morning. So basically there's a 10 minutes, he has reviewed the file, he has sent it. That now went to user EDP. So this is the user that got forwarded to. User EDP is working on that. And basically user EDP returned it to user CMIT and user DMIT.
Okay.
Now any of them can work on that particular file. What user EDP is saying is please change the font to Arial 10. This is our corporate standard. If you remember, I was showing you a version history on the same file. Right? So now at same at about 10 o'clock in the morning, user DMIT took it over because he is the one that's supposed to work on it. Or user CMIT can also work on it. Instead of user CMIT, user DMIT took it over and he worked on the file. Appreciate your feedback. Font is now changed to Arial 10 and he also added a addendum, which means more attachments can be added. Like I showed you a related link just a little while ago.
Yes.
Strength document 410 is a related link. That's how that related link came in now.
Okay.
So now that after the changes, user EDP has a file. Now what user EDP is doing, he just forwarded it to user GDF, whoever that is. I think it is Director Finance.
Mm-hmm.
And the Director Finance basically sent it to the CMD, Chairman and Managing Director.
Okay.
So Chairman and Managing Director, he basically said approve. And they can all write their comments with the annotations and basically said let's put it into practice.
Okay.
The moment they did that, that file now came back to user ADMIT automatically because it is approved. Now he has to close it. Without closing, that workflow is not done. So that's why that user ADMIT has to take the step of closing it. So this is the entire log for that workflow.
Okay.
Now we can try doing the same exact thing with this particular file. We just import it. So I'm going to create a initiate a workflow.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So when I want to initiate a workflow, I have to create a job. Workflow is just a top level. Under that, there could be multiple jobs, which means for each job I can have one or more files.
Okay.
So I'm saying fixed workflow job, and I'm going to give today's date 0127. And which workflow should I be working with is a fixed workflow that I just created earlier during our demo. And then I'm going to say create job. So now the job is created, right?
Yes.
You see the fixed workflow and who created it. So now I can start working on it from here, or I can simply go back because I wanted to go back to show you something. Now when I came here, you see the color change?
Yes.
Nobody can work on this file anymore now. Because this is already initiated, no changes can be done on this.
Okay.
However, if I want to take it out of the workflow, I can, because somebody has created a workflow accidentally as an admin, I can unlock it.
Okay.
Which means that file will be available for other users to work with.
Okay.
Now, as I said, inbox is what I need to do. It's my task list. And what is that I initiated? So these are the two things that are coming in here. One second. There is some caching issue. There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
So now it is. It should be here. It should also be the initiated area.
Okay.
So now I'm going to look at the workflow. So I just click on the view. So I can basically put in a feedback. I can look at the content. If it is a TIFF files or JPEGs or zip files, I can right away see here. I can work with that. So I'm just saying, sir, please take a look into this and respond. So I'm going to save it by performing an action. What do I want to perform? As an initiator, I don't have any other action except forward. Because it is a fixed workflow, this approval users will automatically come in. If it is a flexi workflow, then I can pick the users who I want to work with. You got that difference, Ravi?
Yeah, got it.
Great. So I can also add a file now here, just like how I showed you addendum, that log. So I'm going to submit this. So that is done. So now let's go back and look at just this folder ones. It is still in that orange. Now I cannot do anything with that file because I have initiated it. Now I participated, right? Because I just participated in that by doing a forward.
Mm-hmm.
If I try to click on a view, now I cannot do anything with this. I cannot submit again because it will not allow me since I don't have that forward and those things option anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Now it is waiting with user ADMI. So I'm going to quickly log out and log in as user ADMI. User ADMIT. Right, so user ADMIT now, if you look at on the left side very quickly, the permissions, he has permissions to only 2 folders.
Yeah.
Whereas
Finance
when
and
I was
IT.
in admin app, we have seen many more folders, right?
Yes.
Okay. So now user ADMIT has in his dashboard something in the inbox.
Mm-hmm.
So he has to work on that. So he opens that and he sees that there is a workflow job with this document that was sent by admin from user.
Mm-hmm.
And where is it present? Obviously with this user. And when did he receive it? So this is what generates that escalation mechanism and reminders.
Okay.
Now I click on view.
Now,
So now I
if
quickly,
suppose, Ratna, quick question. If suppose any user forgets to check his mail and he didn't check it for 2 to 3 days, then will there be any escalation method?
yeah, I've shown you here. Let me please take you there. In the create workflow.
Mm-hmm.
So let me 1 second. Wanted to show you that workflow what I have created for our one of the case studies. Oh, sorry. I'll quickly show it to you once I log out and go in as admin because I'm now logged in as.
Admin IT.
Yeah, I just forgot that. So.
Okay, no issues.
Yeah, I'll show it to you in a moment.
Yeah.
So now I'm in the inbox. Now I want to work with this workflow because I need. They are waiting for my feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So just because I want to go in as admin to show you that, I'm going to write my comments. Just saying, please add corporate intro. Okay.
Okay.
So now as a user ADMIT has now 2 actions instead of admin who has only 1 action of forward.
Mm-hmm.
So I am returning it back to whoever has initiated. Now I am not choosing this user because the fixed it automatically comes.
Okay.
And then I click on submit.
Yeah.
So now if you look at this participated, where is it? Now it is went back to admin.
Mm-hmm.
So now I log out, go in as admin. And now I should have something in my inbox again. Because earlier inbox was 0, but now again inbox is 1.
Mm-hmm.
So now I have it from this from user should have set user ADMIT. I'll check into that. But should say present user is admin, which is coming correctly.
Okay.
So now I go in as that particular workflow job. Now I see both the comments.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So let's hold that here. Let me quickly go back to that workflow area. Okay. Let's see, because it is a workflow that I already started working with. Sometimes it doesn't show me. It will not let me edit it here.